Building an RC plane to scale. What I need to do: gathering info, a design, making, gluing, testing, fixing, testing again, fixing more, and finally the flight. Due to the curve of the wing, the air at the bottom moves slower and the air at the top is forced to move faster, because it has a longer distance to travel. This causes high pressure at the bottom, which pushes the wing up and away. How do we stop the wing from just falling out of the sky? Let's start again. How do we get air moving around the wing in the first place? The easiest way to do this is to add engines, which push the air backwards, causing the wing to move forwards. As seen in my research, I need engines to propel the plane forward and specially designed wings to get the air moving around them and produce lift. On the fuselage there are horizontal stabilizers to pitch the plane up and down, a vertical stabilizer for left and right yaw motions, a nose gear for steering, again in a yaw direction, and the nose breaks up the air, leading to better aerodynamics and less drag. Now finally, the design looks somewhat of a 777-200. Step 3. Making and gluing. I don't have much footage from this, so please like and subscribe if you would like to see a build video of an RC plane. I 3D printed most of the plane, except the jet engines. I also added carbon fiber for support in the wings and the front of the fuselage. The engines are EDFs, or electric ducted fans. These work the same way as jet engines and propellers, by thrusting the air backwards at high speeds and propelling the plane forward. And this is it. A remote-controlled 777-200 2-scale, 1.8 meters wide and 1.8 meters long. It runs fully on batteries and it's fully electric. Step 5. Testing. Now that I had a finished plane, I needed to test how it moves and how much power it has. Let's replay that with the sounds.
Oh.
As you can see, it seems to have lots of power, but this is on a very smooth surface, so let's take it outside and test on real concrete. While this is on relatively smooth concrete, it still copes pretty well with speeding up. However, it veers to the left, so let's fix that by adding steerable front landing gear. Now that I was on a more appropriate takeoff or landing strip, aka grass, I could test if it could take off. However, it did not even move. So I tried adjusting the landing gear to get a better grip on the ground, but that didn't work either. The beeping you hear is me giving way too much power to the engines and them having to restart. We've now returned to a much smoother surface, but it's still not smooth enough to get the plane to move. So I gave it a little push to see what would happen. It did take a couple of attempts, but it managed to get going for a bit, which gave me the hope I needed to keep going. Whilst we did see success, we needed more to get this plane into the air. Before you tell me that WD-40 does not work on plastic, especially when it's making contact with loose ground, I had not thought about the issues that could arise from that. I just knew that a bit of WD-40 might get it off the ground just for once. Later, I regretted it and I had to replace the wheels. Arguably, we saw some more success here. The plane did manage to move, but it's quite clear by the video that it wasn't going to be enough and we would get many more problems later. Yeah, that's the landing gear. I think I needed a bit more hot glue there.
I think the wheel sort of fell off.
Wait, you need glue, right?
I couldn't have phrased it better than my brother just did.
Fajne zniamady.
There was no other way to keep testing today, and I needed to come back another day when I'm off school and see what happens after gluing the landing gear with lots of glue, of course. This time, not only did I glue it with more hot glue, I also replaced every single wheel except those that don't actually touch the ground and are just for show, with wheels that have plastic bearings, which hopefully would give me less friction on the ground, faster acceleration, and eventually flight. Even though we still have the problem of the plane veering left, we can see that the steering at the front landing gear is doing some of what it's meant to do, but we need to dig deeper. It wasn't a problem of the front landing gear not being aligned, it must be something to do with engine power. While I am aware that hot glue is probably the worst glue you could use when building an RC plane, my reasoning for it is that if the plane crashes, the glue will separate the pieces rather than the pieces breaking and the glue staying intact. Now that's good. It shows that the plane can keep a straight path even if it's going a bit quicker and the engines are imbalanced, but I'm still worried about flight where it could roll over and possibly crash. So now I needed to dig deeper to find where the problem could be arising from and how to get the two engines spinning at the exact same speed. The landing gear was still falling off, so I needed to solve that once and for all and glue it better. However, that ended up not working either, so I replaced the entire system. Instead of the landing gear attaching directly to the wing, it is still under the wing in the same position, but it's attached to the fuselage using thick pieces of plastic. Now that I had the modified landing gear, I still didn't have enough power to get the plane anywhere near takeoff speed. So to combat this, I bought 2 new batteries from Amazon and hoped that these would work in combination with the old battery I had, so it would end up being 2 or 3 batteries on board the plane rather than 1. This seemed to help, but I still had a problem with the engines not being to give out enough power, even though I knew they could. Luckily for me, there's this thing called Google, and I found that I needed to calibrate the engines, which I had no idea that I needed to do, and when I calibrated them, it seemed to run in a straight line, which was yesterday, so we're getting up to the point where I'm almost ready to fly, and that will probably be in the next video. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.